Have you ever found yourself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, while the rest of the world is peacefully asleep? The house is quiet, the neighborhood is still, and your mind, well, your mind is wide awake. It's in these quiet, lonely hours that the frustration can really set in. You start to think, what's wrong with me? I'm tired, I'm exhausted, so why can't I just sleep? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know something right away. You are not alone. This is one of the most common conversations I have with people in our stage of life. And more importantly, it is not your fault. So often, we're told to just try harder to sleep, as if it's a task we can simply force into happening. But after 70, sleep isn't about trying harder. It's about understanding the gentle shifts our bodies are going through and working with them, not against them. That's what we're going to talk about today. This isn't about some magic pill or a complicated regimen that's impossible to follow. This is a conversation about why our sleep changes as we get a little older, and what we can do, starting tonight, to gently guide our bodies and minds back into the restful, healing sleep we deserve. Because good sleep isn't a luxury, my friend. It's the absolute foundation for our energy, our mood, and our health. Now, the first thing we need to do is just let ourselves off the hook. Let's release that frustration. Our bodies have been with us for over 7 decades. They've carried us through careers, raised families, laughed, cried, and experienced so much life. It's only natural that some of our internal rhythms, including our sleep-wake cycle, might need a little fine-tuning. Think of it like a beloved old clock that still keeps perfect time but maybe needs a slightly softer touch to wind it. One of the biggest shifts is in the production of a hormone called melatonin. You've probably heard of it. It's our body's natural sleep signaler. As we age, we simply produce less of it, and the release isn't always as strong or as well-timed as it used to be. This is why you might not feel that powerful wave of sleepiness at 10 p.m. like you did years ago. It's also why our sleep can become lighter, and we might wake up more easily during the night. So, if you feel like a lighter sleeper than you used to be, that's a key reason. It's a biological change, not a personal failing. And then there's our friend, the bladder. Well, perhaps friend is too strong a word for those 2 a.m. wake-up calls. It's a simple fact that as we get older, our bladders can't hold as much as they once did. Combine that with the lighter sleep we just talked about, and you have a recipe for a trip to the bathroom. Now, many people, wanting to avoid this, decide to stop drinking water a few hours before bed. That seems logical, right? But here's the problem: dehydration can be a silent sleep stealer. When we're even slightly dehydrated, it can cause dry mouth, make us feel restless, and even lead to leg cramps that jolt us awake. So, we're caught between two things. But I promise you, we'll talk about a simple strategy to handle this in a bit. But perhaps the biggest thief of sleep, the one that keeps so many of us staring at that ceiling, isn't purely physical at all. It's what happens right between our ears. When the world is quiet and there are no distractions, that's when our mind decides to put on a full-blown show. It replays a conversation from 20 years ago, it worries about a family member, it goes over the grocery list for tomorrow, or it frets about a news story. This brain chatter is like a radio that won't turn off. And our bodies respond to that chatter as if it's a real emergency, releasing a bit of stress hormone that tells our system, stay alert. Don't sleep. We have problems to solve. So, with all these things working against us, the hormonal shifts, the physical needs, the busy mind, it's no wonder sleep can feel elusive. But here's the good news. For every one of these challenges, there is a gentle, simple, and effective habit we can build to help our bodies remember how to sleep deeply and soundly. And that's a perfect place for us to start with our first simple habit, the wind down hour. Now, I can almost hear what you're thinking. An hour? I don't have time for that. But hear me out. This isn't about adding another chore to your evening. It's about consciously shifting gears. For our entire lives, many of us have been trained to go until we collapse into bed. But our brains and bodies need a signal that the day is over and it's time to shift into rest mode. Think about how you'd put a young child to bed. You wouldn't have them running around the living room 1 minute and then tuck them into bed the next. You'd have a routine, a warm bath, a quiet story, soft lights. We are no different. Our internal child needs that same gentle transition. So, about an hour before you want to be asleep, I want you to start your wind down. This means beginning to lower the lights in your home, especially the bright overhead ones. If you've been watching television or on a tablet, this is the time to turn it off. That blue light from screens is particularly tricky because it directly tells your brain that it's morning and time to be awake. Instead, you might listen to some soft music, an audiobook, or a quiet podcast. You could do some gentle stretching, not for a workout, but just to release the physical tension of the day. Or, you could simply sit in a comfortable chair and talk with your partner or enjoy the quiet. The goal is to tell your entire system, the day is done. It's safe to rest now. And this leads us beautifully into our second habit, which is all about creating a sanctuary for sleep. Our bedrooms should be a haven for rest, but so often they become multi-purpose rooms. We watch the evening news in bed, we worry in bed, we even sometimes eat in bed. Without realizing it, we're training our brains to associate the bed with being awake and alert. So, let's reclaim that space. The goal is to make your bedroom a place for only two things, sleep and intimacy. Everything else, especially stressful or stimulating activities, should happen elsewhere. Let's talk about the environment itself. Is your room cool enough? A slightly cool room, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, is ideal for triggering our body's natural sleep process. What about the light? Is there a street lamp shining through the window or a bright LED clock on the bedside table? Even the small amount of light from a charging phone can be enough to disrupt that delicate melatonin production. Think about using blackout curtains or even a simple sleep mask. And the noise, if outside sounds or a snoring partner are an issue, a white noise machine or a simple fan can work wonders to create a consistent, soothing sound blanket. Now, I mentioned the bathroom trips earlier, and I promised a strategy. Here it is, and it's a simple one. Instead of cutting off fluids entirely in the evening, try what I call the hydration shift. Make sure you're drinking the majority of your water earlier in the day. Then, with your dinner, have a good drink. But in that last hour or two before bed, just have a small sip if you're thirsty, rather than a full glass. This way, you're not going to bed dehydrated, but you're also not filling your bladder to the brim right before you try to sleep. These first two habits, the wind down hour and creating a sleep sanctuary, are about setting the stage. They're about creating the perfect external and internal conditions for sleep to naturally occur. They are gentle, they are kind, and they send a powerful message of care to your body. And once you've started to set that stage, we can move on to some of the other key pieces of the puzzle, like the surprising role of daylight and the gentle power of our breath to quiet that busy mind. Now, you've set the stage beautifully. The lights are low, the house is quiet, and you're settled into your cozy, cool bedroom. But sometimes, even with the perfect environment, that mind of ours just won't hit the off switch. The thoughts are still circling, like birds at dusk, refusing to settle. That's where our next habit comes in, and it's one of the most powerful tools we have. It's about learning to quiet the mind, not by force, but with a simple, gentle focus on our breath. I know the idea of breathing exercises can sound a bit, well, like something only for yoga experts. But I want you to think of this not as an exercise, but as a return to something you already know how to do. It's about breathing with a purpose. When we get anxious or our mind starts to race, our breath becomes shallow and quick, up in our chest. This is part of that fight or flight response. But we can consciously choose to breathe in a way that tells our nervous system the exact opposite, that all is well, and it's safe to relax. So, let's try it right now, wherever you are. You don't have to close your eyes if you're reading this, just follow along. First, just notice your breath. Don't try to change it. Just feel the air coming in and going out. Now, place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly. As you breathe in gently through your nose, try to let that breath fill your belly, so the hand on your belly rises. The hand on your chest should stay relatively still. Then, breathe out slowly through your mouth, as if you're gently fogging up a window. Feel the hand on your belly fall. That's it. That's the core of it. Breathing deep into the belly and exhaling slowly. You might aim for a count, breathe in for a count of 4, and breathe out for a count of 6. That longer exhale is the real key. It's what activates our body's natural relaxation response. If you find your mind wandering, and it will, that's completely normal. Just gently guide your attention back to the feeling of your breath. Back to the hand on your belly, rising and falling. You're not trying to empty your mind, you're just giving it a simple, repetitive job to do. Doing this for just 5 minutes when you get into bed can work wonders. It's like a lullaby for your nervous system. And speaking of lullabies, this is a perfect time to talk about one of the most common questions I get. What about that little nap in the afternoon? Oh, that afternoon nap. It can feel so wonderful, can't it? That heavy-lidded feeling after lunch, the comfortable chair, it's so easy to drift off. But here's the thing we need to be honest with ourselves about. That nap might be part of the reason we're staring at the ceiling at midnight. Think of your need for sleep like a tank of fuel. Overnight, you use up that fuel. Throughout the day, you're building up that sleep pressure, that feeling of being tired, so that by evening, the tank is empty and ready to be refilled with a full night's sleep. But when we take a long nap in the afternoon, especially after 3 p.m., it's like we're putting a gallon of fuel back into the tank. When bedtime comes, the tank isn't empty anymore, so the body says, I'm not ready for a full refill. Now, I'm not saying all napping is forbidden. That would be cruel. The key is to be strategic about it. If you must nap, try to make it a power nap. Keep it to 20 or 30 minutes, and try to have it before 2 p.m. This short rest can be refreshing without dipping too deeply into your nighttime sleep fuel. It's the difference between having a small, healthy snack that tides you over and eating a full meal that ruins your dinner. So, be kind to your future self, the one who wants to sleep at night, and see if you can keep those naps short and sweet, and earlier in the day. Now, let's step out of the bedroom entirely and talk about something that might seem completely unrelated to sleep, but I promise you, it's one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. It's about light. Not the artificial light in our homes, but natural, bright, beautiful daylight. Our sleep-wake cycle is governed by a master clock in our brain called the circadian rhythm. And the single most powerful cue that sets this clock is sunlight. When bright light, especially morning light, hits our eyes, it sends a strong signal, it is daytime. Be awake, be alert, and start the clock for melatonin production tonight. It's like pressing the start button on your body's internal timer for sleep. But so many of us, especially if we're not working or going out every day, can live in relative dimness. We have our coffee inside, we read inside, we watch television inside. We might only go out for errands. Without that strong morning light signal, our internal clock can get fuzzy. It doesn't know when to truly be awake, and as a result, it doesn't know when to truly be asleep. So, the habit is this: within an hour of waking up, try to get outside for just 15 to 30 minutes. You don't need to stare directly at the sun, of course. Just be outside. Have your morning coffee on the porch or patio. Read the paper by a window that gets lots of light. Take a short, gentle stroll around the garden or down the street. Even on a cloudy day, the light intensity outside is far greater than it is indoors. This simple, daily habit is like giving your internal clock a cup of strong coffee. It sharpens the distinction between day and night, telling your body clearly, this is the day, so it can prepare for a solid night later on. It's one of the most effective and most overlooked natural sleep aids we have. We've covered a lot of ground here, from the quiet power of our breath to the importance of daylight. These habits are all about working in harmony with your body's natural rhythms. And once these begin to feel a little more natural, there are just a couple more key areas we can look at that make a world of difference, specifically, what we put into our bodies during the day, and the surprising connection between a gentle movement and a good night's rest. It's fascinating, isn't it, how something as simple as a walk in the morning sunshine or a few minutes of quiet breathing can set the stage for a better night. It really shows us that sleep isn't an isolated event that happens from 10 to 6. It's the final, gentle landing at the end of a day that's been thoughtfully put together. And a huge part of how we put that day together involves what we choose to put on our plates and how we choose to move our bodies. These aren't just about general health, they are direct, powerful contributors to the quality of our rest. Let's talk about food first. We've all heard the old saying, you are what you eat, but we could just as easily say, you sleep how you eat. The timing and content of our meals, especially our evening meal, play a starring role in how well we'll sleep later on. Think about your digestive system. It's a hard-working part of your body. If you eat a large, heavy, or rich meal right before bed, your body now has a big job to do right when it's supposed to be powering down for the night. Instead of your energy going toward rest and repair, it's going toward digestion. This can lead to discomfort, acid reflux, and a general feeling of restlessness that makes falling asleep very difficult. So, the habit here is to try and have your last big meal of the day at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to go to bed. This gives your body a good head start on digestion. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go to bed hungry, because a rumbling stomach can be just as disruptive. If you need a little something before bed, that's perfectly fine. The key is to make it a small, sleep-friendly snack. Think of something that contains a little protein or a complex carbohydrate. A small bowl of oatmeal, a few whole wheat crackers with a slice of cheese, a banana, or even a small glass of warm milk. These kinds of foods can actually promote the production of serotonin, which later gets converted into that sleep hormone, melatonin, we talked about earlier. It's about giving your body a helpful nudge, not a heavy load to carry. And while we're on the topic of what we consume, we absolutely have to talk about our dear old friend, caffeine. Now, I'm not here to tell you to give up your morning coffee. That morning ritual is a joy for many of us. But caffeine is a long-acting stimulant. It can stay in your system for many, many hours. What you drink at 2 in the afternoon to beat the slump can still be circulating in your body at 10 at night, quietly whispering stay awake to your nervous system. The same goes for alcohol. I know, a glass of wine in the evening can make you feel sleepy initially. But as your body processes that alcohol, it actually disrupts the architecture of your sleep later in the night. It can pull you out of that deep, restorative sleep and cause you to wake up frequently, often leaving you feeling less rested in the morning. So, the simple habit is to create a cutoff time for caffeine, aim for no later than early afternoon, and to be mindful of alcohol in the hours before bed. It's not about deprivation, it's about choosing a deeper, more restful sleep over a temporary feeling. Now, let's get moving. And when I say moving, I don't mean training for a marathon. I mean gentle, consistent movement throughout your day. You might be wondering, what does my afternoon walk have to do with my midnight sleep? The connection is incredibly powerful. Regular, moderate exercise does a few wonderful things for sleep. First, it helps to reduce stress and anxiety. It literally burns off the excess energy and stress hormones that fuel that brain chatter we talked about. Second, it helps to regulate our circadian rhythm, reinforcing that clear signal of day and night. And third, when you physically tire your body in a healthy way, it naturally craves rest to repair itself. The best part is that you don't need to do anything strenuous. In fact, vigorous exercise too close to bedtime can be overstimulating for some people. A daily walk, some gentle swimming, a Tai Chi or yoga class designed for seniors, or even some light gardening can work wonders. The goal is consistency. A gentle 30-minute walk most days of the week can dramatically improve sleep quality. And if you can time that walk for the morning, you get a double benefit. You're getting your daylight exposure and your movement all in one. It's about listening to your body and finding a rhythm of movement that feels good, not punishing. A body that is moved during the day is a body that is ready for rest at night. So, there we have it. We've journeyed from creating a peaceful wind-down routine and a sleep sanctuary to learning how to quiet our minds with our breath. We've talked about the power of light, the importance of mindful napping, and how the food we eat and the way we move our bodies lay the foundation for a restful night. It might seem like a lot, but please, don't feel you have to do everything at once. That would be overwhelming. The real secret is to start small. Pick just one of these habits that resonates with you. Maybe this week, you focus on creating your wind-down hour. Next week, you try to get outside for morning light. The following week, you practice the belly breathing for 5 minutes before sleep. These aren't rigid rules. They are gentle invitations to partner with your body. Every small change you make is a message of care to yourself, a signal that your well-being matters. You have spent a lifetime caring for others, for your work, for your family. Now, it is your time. Your time to rest, to recharge, and to enjoy the peace that comes with a good night's sleep. I would love to hear from you. Which one of these ideas are you thinking of trying first? Or maybe you have a little tip of your own that has helped you sleep better. Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's learn from and support each other. If you found this conversation helpful and you'd like to see more videos like this to help you live your very best life, I'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us reach other wonderful people like you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Remember, a good night's sleep isn't a distant dream. It's a beautiful possibility waiting for you tonight. Until next time, be kind to yourself, and here's to living your best life at any age.